So these are all the hatch frames. These are the lids. Got all painted with flat black trim clad. Done a couple coats. Probably gonna have to do some more touch-ups, but I just wanted to get all the spots where like I'm not gonna be able to get once it's bolted down. But this is the power panel, so I'm gonna have all my switches in there for the live well, main power switch, horn, and bilge pump. I got the cooler box all welded. It's a decent enough size. It should still be able to hold like half a dozen cans. I mean, I don't drink a lot of pop, but I just kind of wanted to have the cooler there just anyways. These are all the outer frames. So all the tracks are welded in, siliconed all around the seams there. And now they're just painted with flat black here, just letting them bake up in the sun to cure. I'm hoping in a couple days of the paint will get a little tougher, because right now it scratches off, but I know all fresh paint does that. And then yeah, I'm hoping these can dry up nicely. Also got the drain tubes for each of the dry tracks, so the water has a spot to drain out of there. And then when this is in the boat, I just gotta hook up some 3/4 inch tubing and route it down into that center track I got there. All right, so I got the top sheet all cut out. It's just loosely sitting on for now, but I got the back one done, step cut out, and then as much as the top as I was able to get, because this was a 10-foot sheet, so that's 8 feet right up to there, and this was the remaining 2 feet. But I still got all that scrap there. I just got to cut out these 2 triangles here on the sides, and then once all the outer tracks are done drying, because I'm just in the middle of painting them right now, I can rivet those all down into their permanent spots so they're where they need to be, and then I can make a template to put on top of this, so I can cut it all out and everything's going to be in its exact spot. And then I just got to go around all the edges, seal with some silicone, same with around where all the hatches open up. And then I also got to make another panel right here at the front for the bow. These are all done. Finished painting. Just letting them dry up a little bit further. Started painting around all the black edges where the corners of the foam will line up. Tomorrow I'm going to start riveting down everything into its final spots. And then I'm going to make the template to cut out of the sheet, rivet those down to the frames, add the hinges. I got a whole pack of these black stainless steel ones. I originally had this black piano hinge, but I haven't even owned this stuff for a week and a half, and it's already starting to rust, so that's no good. That's just from some light dripping coming from the tarp above here, so if it gets even slightly wet, I would imagine it's going to rust really bad and then stain everything with rust, so I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole. So I got a 16 pack of those hinges. I might need to buy a couple more. And then I also started putting on some of the rubber seal there for how it'll close on there. I only had enough to do these 2. It was a 10-meter roll, or 10-foot roll, so I gotta buy probably like 3 or 4 more packs. They're like 12 bucks a piece. But yeah, that was everything I was doing today. Just painted everything, got it dried out. I cut out those 2 sheets for the back and the front, and then the step piece there. Okay, so now that these are all dry, I started riveting them down. So I got that one riveted down, battery compartment, the live well, as well as I got underneath and riveted it together, added some silicone to fill in the gap. I still got to make like a little 2-inch lip to extend out here to act as like a splash guard, just so the water can't roll over. The rod locker's riveted down. Ran out of rivets, but these ones don't really move around. Like they're kind of more or less where they're going to be at. Same with the back ones there. There's not much wiggle room. It was just these ones I had a bit more of adjustment. That's why I needed them all riveted down. But now I can make the template, put it on top. So I can put it on top of that sheet there and cut it out. And then that can be riveted down to everything else. And start filling in the seams with some silicone. And then I can start riveting on all the hatches, or sorry, not the hatches, the hinges for each of the hatches, and then eventually cut out the holes for the latches, and then as well as the struts. I have that tab there, and then the other half will connect to the lid. But that's where I'm at now. Alright, now that I got several of the hatches that I needed riveted down, I was able to tape together some of these index cards, just the same way I made the template to cut out the sheet for the very bottom and the top sheet. But I have them all marked out on the perimeter of everything, as well as the perimeter of where it needs to be cut out for each of the hatches here. So, hoping it's going to be close enough. I know some things are going to be a little off here and there. I do got a bit of wiggle room between each of the gaps that I can work with, as well as like the top sheet can kind of make up for any difference. And then also the foam, like if the foam had to overextend the top sheet of aluminum by like 1/4 of a millimeter, it's not going to be a big issue, but I'm going to try to get it as best as I can. But yeah, now I just got to take this off carefully and put it on top of that sheet, stencil it out with a permanent marker, and then cut it out with an angle grinder. Alright, so I traced the template out. I got all of them cut out except for the rod locker. I got half of it cut out. Turns out the last few discs I had were all masonry, but I got all the other ones cut out. So I got the front bow all cut out, battery compartment, live well, cooler, side panel, power switch, and then yeah, I still got to cut out the rest of the rod locker, make some triangles to fill it in on the sides there. The back piece I already have the template cut out. I just need to do the same thing, make a template for it to cut out each of the hatches. And then I have all the panels that I cut out that'll be the lids of each of them. So hold on, I gotta grind down all the edges. I want a bit of a gap between how they open, so I cut them a little on the bigger side because it'd be easier to fill that in with some silicone than if it was the other way around. So I gotta put these, screw them onto the frames of each of these hatches, size them so they fit nice and not binding on anything. And then yeah, once that's all riveted and sealed, I can paint all the rest of the trim edges black, just so anywhere that the overlapping gaps of the EVA deck foam, you won't be able to see anything because it's a black foam and then it's gray on the top layer of it. So the one that's going to be on the top, it's going to look like fake teak, and it's going to have like a V-cut groove exposing down to the black layer. So where it's going to meet up at all the seams here, it'll be a black edge. So anywhere that you could see past the foam, I just try to black that area out as well. But yeah, I'll update you guys with another video once I get that rod locker cut out and the rest of them. But this is where I'm at right now, and it's looking good. All right, that's them all cut out. Still got to grind down some of the edges there and trim them a little bit. Don't mind if there's a 1/4 of an inch gap all the way across. And then I just loosely put this one here. I still got to trace and cut it out. But yeah, that's them all in there. And then this is the one I have the seal on, and it sits at a good height. Same with the front one there. So I just gotta buy a couple more rolls of that, finish this one, middle one, cut those two out, and then just rivet everything down and start sealing it with silicone. And then it's ready to top with the EVA deck foam. Alright, so I finished cutting out the rod locker lid. Still a little bit left I have to trim off. And then I also cut out the 2 triangles that I was missing for the back there. And then same with the front bow. I got that one front piece. I still gotta put something behind here so it's not flexing. I think I might just put an angle at the front or something, because I hammered this piece in here and now I can't get it out. But yeah, I gotta lift this back up, trim that one edge, finish riveting down the remaining hatches, and then I got the cooler all insulated and taped up. Picked up some of this 1/2-inch insulation and some adhesive, so the cooler is nice and insulated now. And then I just gotta order a drain, drill a hole, and then just route the hose down to the center there. I still gotta route all the hoses for all the drains, but this one, the dry track, just drains into the cooler itself wasn't too worried about that. The live weld does the exact same thing. So really I just have to run a drain tube for just the front box, the battery box, rod locker, side storage, and then the power panel. And then the power panel, I still have to... I have the hole drilled for the drain hole on the top, but I gotta follow it through all the way to the bottom because I wasn't thinking when I first did it where I was like, oh yeah, there's still the rest of it. But I started putting a couple of the switches in here. I gotta bring up the main power one. It's gonna sit right there to turn on battery 1, battery 2, or both. This is for the live well to switch it from fill to recirc. It's not hooked up right now, it's just sitting in here loose. This is hooked up, this is hooked up, the horn's hooked up, and then right here will be for the live well timer. So it'll have a switch to turn on the pump to fill it up or recirculate it, and then it can be on a timer so it's not killing the battery, it's just running for a couple minutes for whatever you set it to. But that thing's like 70 bucks and I'm not in a huge rush to get it, so that's going to be down the road in a little bit. I'm just trying to get this thing ready for 2 weeks when I go camping. Hopefully by then I have the back one done. That won't take long. I'm going to hopefully do that tomorrow. Once everything's riveted down, then I can rivet this sheet down so it's not loose. And then paint all the edges black. Same thing with what I said before, just so it doesn't show up between the foam. I can put on the hinges. I could add the struts. And then I have to play around with how the latch is going to go on, because it's got a bit of a lip that sticks forward. So I also have to cut out a piece of angle to put here, because they didn't give me the little catch tab, but I wasn't really too worried about that because I could easily make it myself. But got to get a couple more hatches or latches. I only got 4 locking ones. I just wanted to see how it's going to work out, because I did notice that it doesn't fully seal there, just like the way the mechanism works. So I'm hoping I can take a scrap piece of the EVA foam and just tape it on there so it kind of seals it, but then when you pull on it, it can move out of the way. But I gotta figure something out, because if it leaks water, then it kind of defeats the whole purpose of everything I did with the dry tracks or whatever. So that's still something I gotta figure out how I'm gonna figure that one out. And then a couple more lights. I gotta add the 2 that are missing here, replace those 2 that stopped working, and then I gotta pull up the 2 wires on either side here for the top deck lights. And yeah, that's where I'm at for right now. Okay, so I started riveting down this top sheet here. I'm just out of rivets right now, so I figured it'd be a good time to stop and show you guys where I'm at. But I got most of them started around. I'm just trying to do it working its way back just so it doesn't bow up anywhere. But this corner is nice and solid. I got that tube secured in there. And then I just got to get a little shim to put under there to raise it up to the same height, because the lip of that hatch extends to here, so this part's kind of floating. I could just rivet it down and have it at an angle, but I can just take a scrap piece of metal I got over there and jam it underneath. But yeah, that's where I'm at for right now.